The Town Mouse and the Country Mouse. A town mouse was visiting his friend, the country mouse. For dinner, the country mouse served him only barley and grain. The town mouse pitied the country mouse and said, "You should come with me to the town. I'll serve you all sorts of fine food." The country mouse agreed to come with him. The next morning, both of them went together to the town. They arrived late at night. The town mouse suggested that they should eat after such a long journey. He took his friend to a grand dining room. The country mouse had seen nothing like it. The dining table was filled with the leftovers of a fine feast. They ate cakes, jellies, cheese, and everything nice. The country mouse was thinking about how lucky the town mouse is. Suddenly, they heard growling and both of them panicked. The town mouse shouted, "It's the cat! Run!" They ran as fast as they could. "I think I'll head back home," said the country mouse. "I'd rather have barley and grain and live in peace than eat cake and cheese and live in fear." Moral of the story: it is better to live in poverty and in peace than to have plenty and live in fear. The Wolf and the House Dog. Once there was a wolf who was starving. He saw a healthy house dog passing by and greeted him humbly. The house dog saw the wolf's sad condition. He asked the wolf to accompany him to his master so that he can get some food. The wolf felt very lucky and immediately agreed. Suddenly, the wolf noticed that the hair on the dog's neck was worn and the skin was chafed.
"What is this?"
asked the wolf, pointing at the dog's neck.
"Oh, it's nothing,"
said the dog.
"This is where the collar is put on to keep me chained up." "Chained? Then goodbye to you, Master Dog,"
said the wolf and ran away into the woods. Moral of the story: there is nothing worth so much as liberty and freedom. Two stubborn goats. There was a swiftly flowing river, and a narrow log was the only way to cross it. Two goats came at the same time on either side of the log, but their pride wouldn't allow the other goat to cross first. One set foot on the bridge, and so did the other, until they met horn to horn in the middle.
"Let me pass first,"
said one of the goats.
"Never! You get out of my way,"
said the other. While pushing each other, both lost their balance and fell into the river. Moral of the story: it is better to yield than to come to misfortune through stubbornness. The Fox and the Goat. One day, a fox fell into a well. He tried, but he was unable to get out. A thirsty goat came to the well and saw the fox inside. "Is the water good?" asked the goat. "Finest in the country," said the cunning fox. "Jump in and drink some." The goat jumped in and began to drink the water without paying any attention to the fox. The fox quickly jumped on the goat's back and leaped out of the well. The goat, realizing what trouble he had got into, begged the fox to help him out. "You foolish fellow. You should have thought of a way out," "Before you jumped in," said the fox and ran away. Moral of the story: look before you leap. Think before you take any decision. Lion, the Bear, and the Fox. A piece of meat was lying on the ground. A lion and a bear both saw it at the same time. The lion and the bear started fighting over the piece of meat. A fox saw them fighting for the piece of meat which was still untouched. He stood there waiting. After some time, the lion and the bear became tired fighting and sat down. The fox quickly seized the chance and ran to pick up the meat. The lion and the bear were too tired to do anything. They could just watch the fox eating the meat. Both of them thought,
It would have been much better to share the piece of meat.
moral of the story: it's better to share than to fight over something.
The Cat and the Fox. Once, a cat and a fox got into an argument about who was more clever. "I know so many tricks to save myself from a predator." "How many do you know?" asked the fox. "I know just one trick, but that one trick is enough," replied the cat. And then they saw a pack of hounds fast approaching them. The cat quickly climbed up a tree, hiding behind the leaves. "This is my trick," called the cat. "Now let me see yours." The fox had so many plans to escape, but he could not decide which one to try first. In the end, the hounds caught him. Moral: one thing done properly is better than many things done poorly.
The Cat Maiden. Two fairies were debating if it was possible for a living being to change its nature. One said yes, but the other said no. To settle the dispute, the first fairy turned a cat into a maiden with her wand. She said to the second fairy, "Now let's see what happens." The fairy got the Cat Maiden married to a young man. After the wedding, the couple sat down for the wedding feast. "See how well she is behaving? Who could tell that yesterday she was but a cat? Surely her nature has changed," the first fairy said to the second. "Wait a minute," replied the second fairy. She let loose a mouse into the room with the flick of her wand. As soon as the bride saw this, she jumped up from her seat and started chasing the mouse. The second fairy smiled at the first and said, "See, I told you." Moral: the true nature of a person doesn't change. The Crow and the Peacocks. There was a crow who did not like his feathers.
I wish I were a peacock.
He would say, "You are beautiful as you are," the other crows insisted. But he paid no attention and flew off to admire the peacocks. He saw the peacocks dancing around, flaunting their colorful tail feathers. The crow saw some peacock feathers lying on the ground. He quickly flew down and stuck those feathers on his tail.
Now I am as beautiful as a peacock,
said the crow, and went to dance with the peacocks. The peacocks told him angrily.
You are not a peacock,
They said.
go away.
The sad crow came back home. As he sat down alone, the other crows said, "Learn to love yourself as you are." Moral of the story: you are beautiful as you are. The Peacock and the Crane. There was a peacock who often boasted about his beauty. "I've got the most beautiful tail," he would say. Once he walked to the banks of a large lake and saw a crane sipping water. "Look, what a colorless bird you are," remarked the peacock. "Your wings can never match my glory." "But my colorless wings can make me fly," replied the crane. He spread his broad wings and flew up towards the sun. The peacock stood where he was in wonder. Moral: usefulness is more important than beauty. The Bear and the Bees. A hungry bear was roaming in the forest looking for food. He came across a beehive. The bear peered inside the beehive, hoping to find some honey. On seeing the bear, a bee flew out and stung him sharply. The bear lost his temper. He knocked the beehive and started destroying it. As the beehive broke, a lot of bees flew out and stung the bear. The bear ran as fast as he could to the nearest pond. He jumped quickly in the water to save himself. Moral of the story: too much anger is never good. And the Bull. A little gnat flew over a meadow. After flying around for a while, the gnat got tired. He settled on one of the horns of a bull. After some time, the gnat got ready to fly away. Before flying, he said to the bull, "Pardon me for resting on your horn. You must be glad to have me go now."
You think too highly of yourself,
said the bull.
I did not even know you were there.
"Oh, my apologies," said the gnat and flew off. Moral: one should not place self-importance before courtesy. The donkey in the lion's skin. Once, a donkey was wandering in the forest. He found a lion's skin left by a hunter. He dressed himself in it and pretended to be the lion. All the animals mistook him for the lion. They started running away in terror. The donkey was so pleased that he uttered a loud, harsh bray in excitement. A fox, who ran with the rest, stopped after hearing the voice. He approached the donkey and said, "If only you didn't bray, you would have frightened me too." The donkey dropped the lion's skin on the ground. He walked away with his head hanging in shame. Moral: clothes may disguise a fool, but his words will give him away. Belling the cat.
Once upon a time, the mice had a meeting to figure out how to deal with their common enemy, the cat. Some said this, and some said that. Many ideas were discussed, but the mice could not find a solution. At last, a young mouse spoke. "I have a plan! All we need to do is put a bell around the cat's neck. The bell will ring whenever the cat moves, and we will be able to run away before she comes." All the mice were surprised upon hearing the plan of the young mouse and started celebrating. Then an old mouse rose and said, "The plan sounds very good, but tell me one thing. Who will bell the cat?" The mice looked at one another in fear. Nobody had an answer. Moral of the story: it is easy to propose impossible remedies.